Story 26, The Last Thanksgiving at Grandma's House. Every year without fail, we traveled down the long dirt road to Grandma's house for Thanksgiving. It was a narrow road that cut through the woods like a forgotten trail, the kind that always felt just a little too quiet. Autumn leaves swirled across the windshield as we drove. The air outside was crisp enough to bite, and the wind rattled the branches like bony fingers scraping the sky. No one ever said it aloud, but all of us, every single one, felt uneasy on that drive. The trees grew thicker as we approached. Mom would always turn the radio down, even if no one had been talking. My brother would stop fidgeting with his phone. Dad's hands would tighten on the wheel. Grandma's house sat at the very end of the road, tucked deep into the woods where the light seemed thinner, like it had to struggle to reach the ground. But Grandma herself was sweet, gentle and warm, the kind of woman who knitted blankets by hand and kept candy jars in every room. So we ignored the strange things, or at least we tried. Mom had felt a presence behind her once as she washed dishes, something cold, watching her reflection in the window. She still shook her head when she talked about it, brushing it off without quite dismissing it. My brother swore that during one visit, his blanket had been tugged sharply off him in the middle of the night. He said it hadn't slipped, it had been pulled. But we teased him for it, because teasing was easier than believing. Dad wouldn't go near the third-floor bathroom, not even during the day. If he needed one of us to grab something from up there, he suddenly became very interested in checking the turkey, or helping your mother. When we asked why, he just muttered, "Bad feeling," and changed the subject. Still, year after year we came, because it was Grandma. Last year started out like all the others, the smell of roasting turkey drifting through the house, the sound of Grandma humming old songs in the kitchen, leaves tapping the windows like impatient visitors. We unpacked, settled in, and pretended everything was normal. At dinner, the candles flickered a little too wildly, even though no air was moving. The chandelier overhead swayed softly, and the old grandfather clock struck the hour twice, though it hadn't worked properly in years. But we ignored it, because that's what we did. After dinner, while Grandma and Mom washed dishes, my brother and I were chasing each other around the dining room when my elbow hit the corner of the table. A vase crashed to the floor, shattering. Grandma didn't even flinch. She just sighed and said, "It happens, dear." But Mom's face had gone pale, and she gently suggested my brother and I clean up before anyone stepped on the pieces. "Go get the broom from the basement," she said. My stomach dropped. The basement in Grandma's house was different. Cold even in summer, smelled like old boots and wet stone, and the staircase descended into such darkness that you could imagine it went on forever. But I nodded, pretending it was no big deal. The moment I opened the basement door, the house's warm hum seemed to stop. It was like standing at the mouth of a cave that didn't want to be disturbed. A cool draft curled up the stairs and brushed against my face. "It's just the furnace," I told myself, even though the furnace was on the opposite side of the house. I flicked on the light. A single bulb dangled from a wire, glowing dimly. Halfway down, the bulb flickered and went out. I froze. The air felt thick, heavy, like someone had stepped in front of me, blocking the light. I squeezed my hand along the wall, trying to find the next step. My heart hammered so hard I could hear it echo off the concrete. Then, from somewhere deep in the basement, I heard shifting. slow, deliberate, shifting, not an animal, not the house settling, something moving. "Grandma?" I whispered, even though I already knew it wasn't her. A soft creak responded, not from the floor, from the ceiling above me, right where the living room was. But everyone was upstairs, or so I thought. I reached the bottom step and squinted through the darkness. The broom stood against the far wall. If I rushed, I could grab it and get upstairs in seconds. I took a step forward. Behind me, something breathed in, close, right at my ear. I bolted. My hand scraped the concrete as I sprinted across the basement, grabbed the broom, and ran back toward the stairs. As I reached the first step, the light flicked back on, not bright, but enough to cast a long shadow stretching behind me, a shadow that didn't belong to me. I didn't look, I just ran. When I burst into the kitchen, panting, everyone looked at me. Mom frowned. Dad raised an eyebrow. My brother laughed and asked if I got scared of the dark again. But Grandma's face changed. Not in fear, in recognition. She pressed her lips together gently and said, "Oh, it's been a while." Then she took the broom from my trembling hands and patted my cheek like I was 6 years old again. No one asked any more questions. No one wanted the answers. We left early the next morning, before breakfast, before coffee, before Grandma finished her crossword. On the drive home, no one said anything for nearly an hour. Finally, my mom cleared her throat. "We'll invite Grandma to our house next Thanksgiving," she said softly. Everyone agreed immediately, and no one, not even Dad, argued. Because whatever I met in the basement last year, none of us wanted to meet it again.